Okay, right, our next speaker is Robert Weir. He is an architectural designer based in Christchurch. He describes himself as a contemporary modernist. Formerly a director of Weir Architecture, he now operates under the name of Weir Architecture. Robert designed the HSBC Club Tower in Christchurch, which was the first 5-star Green Star rated building. This building received a Sustainability Design Award in 2009. Last year, Robert won the ADNZ National Award for a new house over 300 square metres for his own house. Robert will talk about his influences, design philosophy, and several of his recent projects. Please welcome Robert.
Good evening. My name's Robert Weir, obviously, and I'm going to take you through a few of the projects that I've been working on over the last sort of 10 years. Some have gone ahead and some of them haven't. So it's a pretty sort of informative slideshow, probably more of a visual exercise than a technical exercise. If you've got any questions, we'll probably save those till the end, probably when I'm having a drink, getting over the nervousness of all this. So I'll just start the slideshow and just work my way through it. The first image is obviously of my new house in Kennedy's Bush in Christchurch, which we won the National Award for last year. It's a precast concrete home, so it's got 150 mils of precast concrete, which was basically trucked to site. And it's got an exposed rough sawn concrete boarding pattern laid into it. So I'll just take you through the slideshow and we'll see how we go. This is me standing outside the front of my new practice. This is a wall that Fiona, my partner, and I installed. It was James Hardy panel over a concrete block wall. We studded the wall to make it look like steel, and then we painted it with a paint that rusts. So it took us probably 3 weekends to do that, but it's quite a nice feature beside our sort of old villa that we've got as an office on Barbados Street in Christchurch. My practice is now consists of myself, 2 associates. We're centrally located back in Christchurch, so we're on Barbados Street, which is probably 300 to 500 metres away from the centre city. So we're basically there watching all the new work, or not going ahead, or not going ahead as the case may be. We've got a couple of nice wee bars around, which we can actually mosey on out to on a Friday afternoon and just sit down and enjoy and see what actually is happening out there. We do a lot of work throughout Christchurch, throughout New Zealand. As far north as Palmerston North, and as far south as Balclutha. We're doing a little bit of work on the west coast, and we're doing a large project in Nelson at the moment. I've been in the game for about 32, 33 years now. I have a passion for architecture. I have a passion for good architecture. I believe in proportion and texture and several of the other aspects of architecture that I really enjoy working with. When clients come to me, I have no preconceived ideas. I don't try and sell them the last project that I've done. Every project's based on the site, its benefits, and what the client requirements are. I try to create projects that are engaging and that actually give something back to the client. I have a strong focus now on texture, light and sound, and we're just trying to get one of the other senses into our projects, but we're not too sure how we're going to do that, whether it's through the air conditioning, which is smell. So we're in the process of working on that at the moment. I was a founding member of the New Zealand Green Build Council, which we needed to do when we did the HSBC Club Tower building in Christchurch, which was quite an interesting process at the time. So I'll just take you through a few of the projects that we've got. So I'll go through the projects, then there's a few concepts, and then I've featured 3 projects. And then questions. This is a project that we did in Gloucester Street. Soon after the earthquake, 2 buildings on the site were destroyed. We did some work with some English architects who came up with the initial concept. They came up with a complicated cladding system, but we ended up cladding the building with a Lucabond in a black Galaxy colour. They had a multifaceted metal folded profile, which would have been good if you were in Europe and you could get it from Spain or somewhere over in the continent. But unfortunately, we're in the bottom of the Pacific, and everything that we get takes months to get here. So we used something that was reasonably locally sourced from Australia, and we clad the building with a black aluminum panel. The building has quite a lot of glazing in it, and it's an office building. The car parking is on the first floor, and the lobby is on the bottom right-hand side there. So although we were involved with the design, we were more involved with the technical aspects and the New Zealand codes to get the building up and running for the client. We did several of the fit-outs within the building ourselves, and you'll see a couple of images of those coming up shortly. These are a couple of little two-storey and single-storey buildings that we've done. The one on the left is Ryman Healthcare's new office building in Christchurch, which we did for the owner of Ryman. And that is up to 150% of code. The building on the right-hand side is at a rest home that we've done, and it has cedar battens on the outside over a cavity system, just to provide a little bit of colour and contrast to the rest of the building. This is one of the buildings that, one of the fit-outs that was within the Gloucester Street building. It was for the Mediterranean Shipping Company. They had quite a large budget, which was a challenge to use up. So we went with a lot of curved walls, LED lighting. At the back of the reception counter there, you'll see that there's a folded metal panelling, which is to sort of replicate shipping containers. We used a lot of blue lighting to replicate colour of the sea and the sky, and then we used the curves obviously to replicate waves and those sorts of things. So that was a very successful project that we had. That's just some general fit-outs that we've done for a couple of buildings in Christchurch. This is a large project. Aged care is about a third of our business at the moment. We've got probably a good 6 clients on the go. This is by far the largest one. This is a greenfields development that we're doing in Nelson that we did the master planning for. Consists of 124 villas, 30 terrace houses, 3 apartment blocks, a full commercial development, a community centre, and then there's a large 10,000 square metre care facility at the top of the site, which has dementia, a hospital, retirement care, and then there's apartments on the first floor. The site has quite a nice sort of gentle slope to it. It's about a 1 in 20 slope from the ground, from the bottom of the site where the lake is, and it slopes up the gentle slopes, and it's got nice views out over the surrounding areas. So we're about a seventh of the way through this project at the moment. We've done 3 stages, which is basically at this stage it's a lot of the villas and a lot of the terrace houses. 85% of the development's now been sold, and there's a couple of examples of the buildings that we've been doing over on the right hand side. We've done a lot of variation in the architecture, both mono-pitched and gabled end roofs, and unusual for a retirement village, we've also got 2-storey terrace houses, which provide a nice sort of variation in scale and scope on the site. This is another sort of a couple of the projects that we've done in the rest home industry. The one on the left hand side is a small villa at the entrance of Silverstream that we've done in Christchurch. Once again, simple little houses that are about sort of 120 square metres. The one on the top right hand side is the community centre we've done at Elmswood in Christchurch, which is surrounded by a whole number of villas that we've done as well. And then once again, it's another shot of the one we've done in Nelson with the 2-storey terrace houses. A third of our business at the moment is residential. These are just a couple of projects that I quite like. The one on the left-hand side is Kevin Hickman's own home, or his batch, in Queenstown, which is at the time when it was constructed. 10 years ago, had $160,000 worth of copper laid on the roof. And it's a 450 to 500 square metre home. The one in the middle is one we've done over in Governor's Bay, just over on the Lytton Harbour. It is cedar, and that is quite an acute angle. It was a commercial site. It was a bit of a rhombus in side and shape, so we've actually used the site to create the size and the shape of the house. The one on the far right is a house that we've done out in Redcliffs, and was probably one of the first houses that I've designed, which sort of led to me going out on my own and starting my architectural company. These are a couple of concepts that we've done since the earthquakes. This is a 4-storey office building in Manchester Street in Christchurch. It's got 3 street frontages, and we've used a number of multiple types of materials there. We were proposing that the brown area was going to be a wood-grained aluminium coated product, and the white would have been tilt slab painted white. So what we've done there was we've used multiple forms, and I believe it's got quite a nice balance to it. And then there's the other side, and this side faces the Avon River. It's basically where the old band rotunda was. It faces out towards that on Manchester Street. So something a little bit different. Mixed up the sizes, added a few boxes here and there. This is the Richmond Workingmen's Club project in Christchurch. Unfortunately, this one's not going to go ahead in its current format. It's quite a large site. They lost their entire building stock and all their buildings, squash courts, gymnasium, auditorium, all their bars. So basically we were rebuilding a building here which would have been about 3,000 square metres in total. So there's various shots there. The design was based around these large floating flying roofs, and then basically fitting quite a simple structure underneath it. So we would spend all our money on the roof and then just tuck quite a simple structure underneath it. That's the entryway there. So we're bringing the roof down to the ground and having a foyer space that you basically walk under sort of the eaves of the roof and into the building. This is formerly Forsyth Bar. This is a building in Christchurch that during the earthquakes it lost all the stairs out of the back of it. It's now being turned into the Crown Plaza, which came with a whole lot of interesting issues, because although the building's a nice regular square shape, in the wisdom of the original architect, he decided to turn the lift core and the stairs 45 degrees, which you can probably work with in an office building, but when you're trying to fit hotel rooms around a core at 45 degrees, it becomes problematic. And there's probably 4 rooms on each floor that has an unusual shaped room. We've got 12 bedrooms per floor and 202 rooms in total. A lot of it, although the main structure remains, which is sort of the tower unit, the lower 3 floors, we've actually created new facade treatment down there. We've taken away the 2 side bits because it had a podium around the base of the building which extended past the tower, and we've actually changed the entire cladding system so that the tower reads as a tower and the 2 podium areas either side read as separate buildings, just to accentuate the tower. And we've also gone with a variety of 2 different types of canopy treatments there. One to provide a bit of excitement so people can forget about the building, what happened during the earthquake, and the other one is just to provide a contrast to the main tower of the building. This is HSBC Club Tower, which we won the Sustainable Award for in 2009. This photo was taken prior to the building being constructed. It's the central tower on the right-hand side, which was photoshopped in using the 3D model. This photo was taken by me hanging out the side of a helicopter at the time. And as you can see, Christchurch is probably never going to look like that again. This is HSBC Club Tower. Performed reasonably well during the earthquake. It sustained 4% damage. We believe the reason why it sustained 4% damage only was because it was one of the first buildings in Christchurch that had been constructed basically with a solid concrete base, 2.5 metre concrete raft foundation, and then the lower 3 floors were precast concrete, and then there was a lightweight steel structure above that, which was probably the first time that it sort of been used in the South Island since the 1950s, that type of construction. The exterior cladding is a Lucabond, which is over RAB board and then onto timber framing and amongst the concrete structure and steel structure that's on the building. There's quite a lot of glazing, spandrel panels, and then on the right hand side there we've got cantilevering balconies, which was quite a tricky little detail here. Right. The building sways quite a lot during the earthquakes, but that is potentially what saved it. Straight after the earthquakes, it was the first building to be reopened, and Sarah basically now rents the majority of the floors within the building. So there's just a couple of shots of that. I had I quite like cantilevers, so up on the left hand side there's a cantilevered box which projects out past the structure, and that's basically meeting rooms for a couple of lawyers up at that level. At the base of the tower, above on the third storey, there's an outdoor garden area with planters. So if you're lucky enough to be on that floor, you can actually access a podium level, which has quite nice views out over the city and above street level. There's the tram going past it, which is back up and running now. And there's that lovely projecting box. So I used 3 different colours of alka panel on the building, basically provide a little bit of variation. And then these are some of the fittings that because we were involved with the base building originally, so we did something a little bit special in the toilets. So we had tapware that basically, as it heats up, the colour changes. We had glass partitioning and glass lined walls, which we liked, but the contractor didn't. And then we had the glass mosaic tile to carry the red through into the white ceramic tiles. We did do a number of fit outs on the building. This is Anthony Harper, which was on levels 8 and 9. We used a lot of textured wallpapers, coloured wallpapers, and this would have been completed probably 9 years ago, so it's just starting to date a little bit now. And they've got a boardroom that basically looks straight out over towards the northern part of the city and out towards the park, so it's quite a nice sort of green outlook. On the ground floor, we were involved with the cafe, which was sort of a multi-purpose space at the time. So the operator would come in the morning and run coffees and do muffins, and then later in the evening she'd transfer over to a bar. So it would start sort of at 7 in the morning and go through till probably 9 at night. We used a lot of different sort of colours and textures in there as well, just to give it a bit of a lift. It's quite a small cafe. The entire area of the cafe is about 100 square metres, which includes the toilets, the bar area and the kitchen area. We were involved with the Heathcote Valley Inn prior to the earthquake. We had lodged a resource consent to extend the back of it. It's the building, the 2-storey building there in the middle of the photo. We went through quite an arduous resource consent process, which was notified, so we had a whole lot of neighbours coming and telling us, you know, they weren't happy with us extending the pub and it was going to be noisy and horrible and blah, blah, blah. But then the earthquakes came along and that fixed that problem. So we ended up basically with a building and a client that was on the phone saying, what are we going to do? The building had to come down because basically it was triple brick construction with internal timber partitions and floor framing. The building had been there for quite some time. It had quite a neat little feature, which was an internal well within the building, which was back hard against the toilets at the time. And basically after the building was demolished, the well was the only thing that we could actually reuse going forward. So what we did was we built something that was similar, but with modern materials. So this is precast concrete building. The panels were 2 stories high, so basically they cantilevered up out of the ground, and then the first floor and the ground floors were poured within the panels. So it became quite a strong structure. We used timber trusses on the roof and then just lightweight roofing on top. The original bar had quite a nice courtyard area, and some existing trees which gave nice shade over the summer periods when you're out there drinking. So we retained the trees and replicated the bar area. The new building is basically on the footprint of the old building, and then it's extended by about 300-400 metres back out to the area which was formerly the car park. So we've basically more than doubled the size of the original bar. On the first floor there's accommodation, and on the ground floor there's now 2 bars, a restaurant, and a gaming area and toilets. We used a lot of, because the panels were going to be quite a sort of a simple material, we recessed the panels, changed colours, added a lot of steelwork with a little bit of detail, so all the channels are all turned out. All the steelwork has been detailed to provide just that sort of a nice sort of fine touch to it. We used a darker colour to give contrast to the white panels, and then we had careful placement of various elements around the building. Light fittings, horizontal rails, spoutings, they all added a little bit more detail to what was going to be a plain building at very little cost. Inside we were involved with the fit out. Unfortunately I don't have a lot of photos of the fit out, but we used a lot of oak panelling and created quite a nice space. Prior to the earthquake it was an area where the watersiders would come over from Littleton and have a drink before going home, but now it's become more of a family bar, a lot more friendly for the female clientele. This is my own house, this one. Site plan, I'm not sure whether it's that clear. It's about 1,800 square metres of site. It's on a private lane, so we were quite lucky, so we could actually pull the house back to the back corners of the boundaries. There was a few no-build zones, and then out to the north, which is up to this left-hand corner, we maximised the views back out towards Christchurch. Rockhill is about 25 minutes out from the central part of Christchurch. It's elevated, so it's about 40 metres up in the air, and it has sort of a nice view out over the plains and up to the mountains, which you'll see in a minute. There were a few challenges with the site. Obviously, with being elevated in Christchurch, you cop the easterly quite badly, but you also, where we are, we're on sort of a bit of a raised area, so we cop the southerly and every other wind that comes. So we've created a whole lot of outdoor areas that you can actually basically move around the house and avoid the wind at the time, while still maintaining the heat from the sun. This is the floor plan. What we've done there is we've got the entranceway is down by, there's a 3-car garage as you approach the site, and the entranceway is just sort of up above the garage there, and there's a gallery passage. Fiona and I have been travelling the wheel for quite some time, and we've got quite a lot of art, so we're quite keen to get a lot of wall space where we can actually hang the art on the walls. So through the central part of the house I created a gallery space which was 1.8 metres wide, which gave you enough space to actually stand back and actually admire the art and enjoy it. Also through the art gallery space, and I made sure that there was no power points, light switches, nothing to take away from the artwork itself. There's a little bit of negative detailing just to keep it quite clear and crisp, which you'll see in the photos in a minute. The other purpose of the gallery is to separate the private part of the house to the public side. So on the right hand side you'll see that there's the garage, the laundry, bedroom, bathroom, bedroom, ensuite, guest bedroom. So that's all the private side of the house. We don't have children, and occasionally we have guests, so that's the only time that part of the house can actually gets used, so we close that down. Whereas on the left hand side of the gallery passage we've got open plan, living, dining, kitchen, there's a wee office desk in the recess there, and then there's large sliding doors which open into the media room and then into our master bedroom with an open ensuite on the back of it. The angled area at the bottom is a courtyard which is on the southern side of the house, because obviously the easterly, and it's got a gold roof over the top, so you can actually sit on the southern side of the house and look through to the east when the easterly is blowing, which is a cold one in Christchurch, and still maintain the views through the house. There's a guest toilet just behind the media room, then there's a wine cellar, and then there's a butler's pantry in that other space. I designed the house over a 3-week period. We owned a property out in Redcliffs, a site that we'd had for probably 8 years, and we were just about to start construction prior to the earthquakes. After the earthquakes we decided that Redcliffs probably wasn't the place to be at the time, So we found a section out of Kennedy's Bush, which was on the southern side of the city. So we basically decided that we would get on and start building on this new site. We went on holiday for 3 weeks, and during that 3-week period I designed the house. So it was quite good because the previous site that we'd owned for 8 years, I designed 3 houses for it. And as you know, with so much choice, we keep changing our minds. So to give myself sort of 3 weeks to design the house, I sat down, came up with a concept, backed myself to push through and get on and construct it. So you'll see that from the floor plans, the elevations, through to the 3D work and through to the house, nothing much changes. And that was because I gave myself such a time frame. So here's the 3D presentation that we did. It was all done in-house. You'll see here, you can see the contrast between the natural concrete with the rough sawn timber boarding inlay, and then the eyebrows there in the white are a sparkling white alka panel, and that gives us sort of a nice, highly polished contrast to the rough concrete. The other thing that we've done on the house is we've got 2 different colours of aluminium joinery. We've got satin silver on the rough sawn concrete, which is natural, and then on the other half of the house, which is black, we've got black satin aluminium, and that's basically to give a contrast between the sort of the private part of the house and the public part of the house. So you'll see the good thing with precast concrete is it turns up one day and you've instantly got a house. So all the panels went up within sort of 3 days, and then they were forming the floors, which basically poured within the panels. So the panels acted as the formwork. This is the entrance as you come down the private right of way and turn into the garage. I'm quite a private person, so we didn't want to make it too welcoming. So you come to where the bright light is shining up that panel with almost like a marbling effect with Rockhill written on it. Just behind that is where the front door is, which is a 2.7 metre high by 1.6 metre wide pivot door, which leads into that gallery space. Just to the left of the panel, you can start to see sort of our artwork that sort of just starts to sort of show through. So as you come into the house, it becomes more and more welcoming, and then it just opens up to the views on the far side. Also on this photo, you'll see that the garage is black, which was a nervous time for me. When I designed the house, I always wanted to have contrast between one side and the other. And up till probably, it would have been about 8 weeks from moving in, the painters turned up, and we were doing something a little bit experimental with resin wood stain. So we stained the concrete with resin wood stain, which seems to be working all right. Fiona's been out and recoated it once since we've been there, which has been 3 years. But it was quite a nervous time for me because I went off to work, and then when I came home, half the house was black. So I sort of had to back myself to say, yep, I'd made the right decision, and I just had to go with it. There are a contrast of different panels in the house. So the front side of the house is all rough sawn precast panels with wood grain. These large landscape walls, they're about 3.5 metres high. I boxed and poured those myself. They're a bit ratty and not as good as the precast panels. And it took about 3 pours to get into that height. Out the front of the house where this lawn is, at the front edge there's about a 2.5 metre drop on the site down to the gardens below. So as the ground was built up, we slowly built these panels up as well. And this front courtyards which faced out to sort of the north. We've got a cantilevered deck which extends out over top of the precast panels. That wasn't on the consented drawings, so that's probably a non-compliance. Don't tell the council. And here you can sort of see the contrast between the inside and the outside. So we've got the timber deck, we've got the sparkling alka panel, and then we've got a real white high gloss tile on the inside. So we've got a contrast between rough materials and smooth materials. And on the right hand side there, that's sort of, we've gone with a lot of natives to encourage the birds down into our section from up on the hills. And with hard clays, we needed to sort of go with the native plants. Here you can see the true contrast between the back of the house and the front of the house. With the black and the natural. I also boxed the windows on this back part to give a further contrast. So around these windows here, you'll see that there's a polystyrene box which has been hard coated and applied over the concrete. So that's the only area of the house that's actually been plastered. And the good thing with this, on the left-hand side, there's the 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. So I've basically, instead of having a variety of different windows in different shapes, I've basically boxed them with this raised form to make them read as one, which you'll see on this photo here. So you can see that box form there going down, which includes those 2 bathrooms and 2 bedrooms. The door to the laundry is the one on the left, and then all our canopies are basically projecting channels with the toes out. One of the covenants for our site, for the section, was that we had to have a pitched roof. So what we do is we pitch the roof behind the parapets, because I'm not a pitched roof kind of guy. We've got 24 solar panels on the roof, and we can generate up to 55 kilowatts in summer. Our lowest power bill during summer has been $12. So what I've done is I've gone, instead of being totally green on the house, I've gone and over insulated the house. The walls with the system that we've used have R6 rating. The ceilings are all rated R5, and then I put 150 mils of polystyrene underneath the floor slabs. So basically what that means is, as soon as we heat the house, it holds the heat, and then you've just got to basically maintain it. So there's not a lot of energy basically heating the house up from cold every time. These are a few of the interior shots. So this is our open plan sitting room, through the dining room, through the kitchen. This area here is about the size of our previous house, which was a 3-bedroom house in the 1970s. A CF fireplace there is the 1500 long one, and the fireplace there, I struggled to find a material that I was happy with to go on there until something turned up. So I looked at wood, I looked at wallpaper, I looked at ceramic tiles, and I finally found a supplier came in with some Timaru bluestone. So if you can see the photo there, it's got a whole lot of gassing and veining in it. So you've ended up with sort of quite a natural material that has quite a lot of variation in it. And he cut the stones himself, went down to Timaru, cut the stones himself, so you'll see that there's a slight variation in depth. So that replicates what we've done on the outside of the house. So we've got a 3mm variation between the different horizontal rows of the bluestone, which repeats the elements that we've got on the outside of the house. The bluestone, I was quite surprised. When you go up and touch it, it actually feels like pumice or like velvet. It's real soft to touch, so it doesn't have that sort of cold effect to it. We've broken up the main living areas with by dropping those lights over the dining room table, so you don't feel like you're in such a vast space. The heating throughout the house is ducted air conditioning, and we've basically put a pelmet around the outside edge of the room, which you might see on a couple of photos, and that conceals the ductwork, the vents. We've got an LED strip light that runs around the perimeter, and then on the other side we've got 2 rows of electric blinds which are fully concealed when open, go up behind the pelmet. We won the national award for the joiners for our kitchen. I wanted something that was quite linear that matched the house. So basically we've run horizontal handles basically all the way around the plinth and all around through the joinery. On the other side we've got drawers within drawers, so that we had the same continuous horizontal line running through that wasn't broken by other handles. This is the media room, so there you can sort of see the LED lighting which is up above the pelmet. The media room's got a dark ceiling and dark walls and quite heavy curtaining, so basically you can close the room down. Behind that wall there with the pictures on it, there's 2 big sliding doors one goes to the left, which closes off the main open plan living area, and the other one closes off the smaller passage space that we've got. So you can actually close that room down and just heat that space, so it's quite nice watching movies in sort of subdued colours. This is the gallery passages, so you can see they're quite crisp and clear. With having such a modern house, I wanted to add a little bit of history, so you'll see there There's some antique Egyptian villa doors there, which lead into our wine cellar. So we basically didn't do anything with those. We purchased them off somebody who had imported them, and we hung them on pivots so that we wouldn't take off the old hinges, so we wouldn't affect the doors at all. And we haven't cleaned them or done anything with them, we just installed them. So you've got that sort of nice natural look and contrast with the rest of the house. It's our master bedroom, so we've used a lot of textures on the inside of the house. Our headboard's heavily textured, and then there's a textured wallpaper behind the headboard. And then I don't particularly like a lot of doors, so our ensuite, as you can see through there, is quite open to the bedroom. This is our ensuite. There's a large skylight which extends right across the full length of it, so it's quite nice when you get up in the morning in summer. You've got a whole lot of natural light. Two walls are a large format ceramic floor tile, which is 1200 by 200. And the majority of the other surfaces are all white. So what I've done there is I've got a floating counter and wood, which provides that natural sort of warmth to the room. I don't like glass doors on showers, so basically all the showers that you basically step in around vertical walls, and you can sort of see that skylight extending up above the shower there, so that runs the full length of that room. The other bedrooms we've picked out in dark colours, so they're actually quite moody and quite nice to go to or retire to at the end of the night. And all the other bathrooms are all themed in a similar way as the main ensuite. We've used feature lighting and a lot of natural materials to pick out a little bit of colour, to give the house a little bit of life. There's the doors up there on the left-hand side, and they're basically backlit from the wine cellar. The image on the bottom right-hand side, that's our guest toilet. We wanted to have something that was a little bit fun in there, so we've got a pleated look wallpaper in the blue, and then we've got some fun mirrors on it. So basically just give the house a little bit of lift from sort of the start whiteness that you normally get. And here's where the contrast is with the outside and the inside. So up on the top left-hand side, that's the outside concrete, and you can see that we recess some of the panels or with the boarding to provide a nice variety of shape and colour and texture, and then we've repeated it inside with stone on the fireplace and then the tiles and bathrooms and en-suites. And that's it.
Curious with your decks.
Yes.
I noticed you're changing the timber at a 90-degree angle. Did you give consideration to cutting a 45 through that?
I did, but I'm kind of a linear kind of guy, so I ran one and then one out. So it was basically just a design decision on that. And I find when I've built decks in the past, if you've got a 45, they tend to open up. Whereas if you've got a nice change in direction, you can keep those joints nice and tight.
What sort of system did you use on the walls for insulation, precast?
There's a new system down in Christchurch, which one of the precasters is promoting. It's called the Cocoon system. It's a 150 precast composite panel, and then basically once the panels are up, they adhere a 120 wide fiberglass spacer, which is in an H shape, which fixes to the back of the panel. It has a 20mm cavity spacer and then a channel that takes polystyrene. So you've got this 3mm thin piece of fiberglass, and then you slot your polystyrene in, which is 100mm, and then at the horizontal you put another fiberglass plate on top, same sort of thing. So you've got a 3mm connection, and then you drop your next layer of polystyrene in. So there's no thermal connection between the outside of the panels and the inside. So you're getting R6 rated walls. So it's basically a full wall of polystyrene, and then you basically glue your jibboard to the inside face.
So the total thickness of the wall would be
270.
Right.
Yeah. But it's quite nice around your windows and archways and stuff. We've actually got some depth there that you can actually, see, and you can actually, it actually makes the house feel like it's got some substance.
So are you waterproofing your panels with?
I haven't waterproofed the panels yet. I had started to treat them because there was a bit of efflorescence, so I had started acid washing them until I realised it was going to be quite a large job, and then I stood back and I thought, oh, it's concrete. I quite like concrete, and it's quite a natural sort of product. So I thought that's all part of what it is. So I've just left it at this stage. I'm going to let it age a little bit, and then I'm going to seal it. We haven't sealed the black side of the house because we're obviously using the resin wood stain, and we're not sure how that's going to last. So we've recoated it twice now, and I'll just see how long it lasts. And once we're happy with the finish, and we believe that it's going to be colour consistent, we'll seal it then, and it'll be with a waterproof silicone sealer, basically just to seal the panels.
Just a clear seal.
Yeah, just a clear matte sealer. Yeah. The reason why we used the wood stain is because I didn't want anything that was too glossy. I wanted it to read real matte.
Could you consider using a side piece or something like that on the panels?
Sorry?
A side piece?
No, I haven't. No.
Yeah.
There's also a product called Superpore. Superpore C is a nanotechnology product. Definitely worth looking at.
Right.
I've used it.
The MPA on the concrete was close to 40, so it was almost, because of the strength, because they're lifting the panels within 24 hours of pouring them. So they go with the high strength concrete, and the high strength concrete almost has a waterproofing type ability with that because of the strength.
So it's really dense.
It's really dense, yeah.
There's a really good waterproofing product, a Seeker one, that's developed for the bridge cross controls and things. I've got a concrete house that's more than 20 years old, I've used it and it's been perfect.
Oh, good.
And basically it soaks right in and waterproofs it, so, but there's no visual degradation, it doesn't look any different whatsoever.
Yeah.
You can throw water on it, it just beads off, but it still allows the concrete to breathe,
Yeah.
which is really quite important.
Yeah. One of the reasons why I've sort of held off is typically because of the wood stain that we're using on the back, because once we've water sealed it, we won't be able to coat it again, so I'm just holding off just to see how it goes.
Awesome. No more questions? Great. Thank you very much, Robert.
No problem.
Take it all down. Just a few things to wrap up the meeting. Our next time we get together will be at our AGM on the 8th of September. Now, we do need a couple of new members come on board our executive. We've had an indication that a couple are going to be leaving in the next 12 months. So to help with the running of the branch, we do need a couple of members to come on, and if you come on earlier rather than later, we can possibly look at sharing roles with the guys that are going to be leaving. So if that's of any interest to you, can you please contact Phil? Because we can't stay on the executive forever. We do need new guys coming on and taking over. After the AGM, we'll be looking at our conference, which is going to be celebrating 50 years of ADNZ. It's from the 25th to the 29th of October. I was told today by Astrid that registrations will be online. They're not up yet, but should be up shortly. And for members, it'll be $680 plus GST. Partners will be $450 plus GST. And finally, has everybody received their sketch pads that we delivered? If anybody hasn't received their sketch pads, come and see me after the meeting and we can organise to get yours delivered. Neil Wills had a few issues just getting a few of the emails right, so if you haven't got them, come and see me and we can organise them. Alright, that's it. Thank you very much. Bye.